Hey, what's going on everybody? Alex here with Freedom Mowers. I hope you all are doing well. We're going to jump right into it today. We've got a Craftsman LT2000 that is in rough shape and it is getting ready to storm out here again, so let's check it out. Alright, and this is what we've got. This is the Craftsman LT2000. This is like early 2000s model. I'll have to check the serial number on here to see what the exact year is. This machine is in rough shape. There is tons of oil caked all over the engine. Seat is not even the correct one and it's trashed. I got this at the beginning of spring. I sold a customer a Troy built pony and this was his old mower. It hadn't started this year. He was having problems with it at the end of last year and he was done with it. He said he was going to haul it off to the scrap if I didn't want it, so I took it as a parts machine. Thought I saw some sealant coming out of there, but I think that's a factory gasket. I thought about trying to revive this as a whole machine, but I did look over this a bit and we have one of the biggest problems I've got with this mower is he bypassed, or someone bypassed, all of the safety switches, and not only bypassed but actually cut the harnesses out and put wire nuts on everything, so I don't have any of the factory connections on here. And I think the only safety that's left is the switch that's under the seat, but it's disconnected. And I don't feel comfortable selling machines with safety issue problems. It's a liability and it would take a ton of work to get this one going. If I had the harnesses, I would consider, you know, giving this thing a quick sand down if we can get the engine going, and giving this thing a paint job. You guys know I like doing that kind of stuff anyways, but this one honestly would take a ton of work to get it to where I would like it. And I have two other Craftsman LT series out there and some other Craftsmans that parts will work for on this machine. Basically, the goal for today, what I wanted to do was see if we have a good V-twin here. I believe this is the factory engine on here, should be the Intech 22. Other than that, I want to see if this thing is still a solid engine on here. I did click through. Feels like all the gear still works, so it should have a good 6-speed rear end. The deck still seems nice and solid. The blades aren't the best, but still has a good shoot. I need one of these steering collars on a machine right now that I'm trying to get ready to sell, and probably take the steering wheel. There's a lot of good parts on here. We're gonna try to get this thing going, see if we can get this engine running, and hopefully have something to swap on a couple other machines that I need engines for. So let's get this pulled in the shop before it storms on me and see what we can do. All right, I went ahead and pulled the hood off on here. The wiring harness is actually melted, so I couldn't even disconnect. I just had to pull the headlights out of the hood assembly. But we're gonna go ahead and just first check the oil on here, see what we're looking like. It actually looks like it's right up to the full mark. And it's not terrible. It's not new, but it's not black either, so. Now, it's just above the add line, so we should be good there to try and start if we can get that far. Can look at the air filter on here. We'll check with the voltmeter here in a minute to see if there's any voltage. I doubt it, since the key was left on. Make sure you guys can see what you can. Air filter looks almost brand new. Like they must have just put this in last year. Got mud daubers stuck to the pre-filter. Just leave those on there for now, but the filter is like brand new. Can see on the inside as well. Now I did take a peek earlier at this one has the rear gas tank, and the cap on it is supposed to have the little sight glass. That's missing, and I can almost guarantee that the tank has a ton of water in there. When we try to start this, I'm gonna end up just disconnecting probably the pulse line so that we're not pumping fuel, and make sure that I disconnect this fuel. We'll probably try to gravity feed. Now this one, it was missing the screw on the top cover, because I did check, since I couldn't get it to do anything at his house, if it had compression, and it does. It spins over freely, so We should be good there. Let me grab the multimeter. The battery does say 263-2021 on it. And we've got a nice 1.1 volts coming out of that battery, so that is toast. Now there is a toggle on-off switch here. I don't know what's going on with that. We'll have to look at it. We'll get the jumper pack hooked up here. Parking brake set. And this one does have a manual choke, which appears to be working, so choke. Like I told you guys, I did try this before. Maybe the engine will change its mind. I didn't even get a click before, so let me see. That's definitely our solenoid clicking. Now let's see if we can at least get this turning over. We can go ahead and just jump the starter and try to bypass everything. At least see if we can get this turning over, and then we can move from there. So what we will go ahead and do is I will go ahead and put the positive on the post of the starter. And we've got a bad starter. I know a lot of people will tell you to go ahead and start tapping on the side of that, but if you start tapping on the side of these starters, you're going to break the magnets inside, and then it's going to be worthless anyway. I guess we'll go ahead and see if we can get this top shroud off, and then we can see if we can get to, maybe it's just bound up or stuck. Let me get some tools out. We've got to get the little cover here off, and then take the upper shroud. The air filter is going to have to come off. Alright, so we should have 6 outer bolts, which are going to be 3/8, and then we've got 4 of these 5/16. Probably just go ahead and take these out, not film all of it, because I'm going to have to get the ratchet wrench in behind there, and we will have to, no, we should be good. We don't have to worry about taking the fuel pump loose. Alright, I'm going to put those bolts right there, and then I've just got the little ratchet wrench. I'm going to take these back 2 off real quick. Alright, I need to make sure you guys can see everything here. I just got the last one out. I figured I'd try this video today because I'm trying to finish up a couple more for you guys, but unfortunately I am waiting for this weather to clear up to do some testing, and also some parts to come in, so I wanted to try this one today. So it looks like we've got the plastic geared starter. Show you guys here. So this one has the plastic gears on it, so you'll have the plastic gears on the flywheel, or on the flywheel ring. And let me see real quick, set you guys up where you can see. Let me just see if I can get a set of channel locks on there. It could just be that the starter had been sitting up, so it kind of froze. I don't really know. Yeah, it was definitely tight. So it feels like it has freed up some, but we'll see. Let's go ahead and hit this thing. Definitely hanging up. Oh, and another thing I noticed here, you guys can see part of the the fans here, the cooling fans, broke right off, so I don't really know what happened here, whether they dropped something in there or it hit something. Honestly, this thing turned over pretty easy by hand earlier, so I think it's just that the starter is a little weak right now. I can try to keep hitting it a few more times. Alright, I don't want to get that starter too hot. We are turning over. Let's go ahead and disconnect the fuel line and the pulse line going to the carburetor, because I don't want to keep feeding this thing water if it is. And then once I've got these disconnected, we'll go ahead and just spray some carburetor cleaner in there and see if we can't get this thing to kick over for us. If it does, then we can try to gravity feed. I don't know, what is that, 1/4 inch? They got a worm clamp on here, and then we just need to pop. It looks like the pulse hose on here is almost pinched in half too, so I'd be surprised if that even worked. Alright, so but I think the solenoid was clicking, maybe due to the starter. We'll hook it back up and see if the solenoid is working. I can smell that gas that came out of there. It's awful. Alright, so our solenoid is still not working. Just make sure we've got good connections here. Alright, I got the screwdriver. Our solenoid is still not working. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can jump across the two terminals. I can't really see in there that well, so I think I'm going to have to disconnect it to be able to get it pulled up enough to get to. Because otherwise we're going to end up having to disconnect the wiring harness, put a jumper wire in to be able to power up the anti-backfire solenoid. Trying to go the easiest route as possible on here. So let me go ahead and disconnect this. I'm going to take these two nuts loose, probably 3/8. I'll get that disconnected. Right, got those disconnected. They did have a nut on the backside, but I was able to hold it with my hand, and now I've got the solenoid at least pulled far enough out where I can bridge that gap. Go ahead and put the jumper pack back on here, and still in the on. So we should turn over now, in theory. Just got to get a good connection. I don't know if I've got the best connection here. If we can at least get it turning over decent, we should be good to be able to hit it with some starter fluid. Yeah, I'm having a tough time getting this. I guess we'll just disconnect this harness. I've got to figure out which wire. It's normally this, I think it's a gray one on here. It's coming off from the anti-backfire and goes into the harness. So we'll disconnect the harness. We need to have power going to this wire. So we'll have to basically get a jumper wire from the hot into this to power on the anti-backfire, and then we can just jump it right off the starter. Alright, well, I've got the jumper wire set up. I am going to hold off on that for a minute. We're going to leave the harness disconnected, but I was sitting there thinking about it. We don't need the fuel solenoid to turn on since we're not pulling gas right now. We're just trying to see if this will turn over on starter fluid, and if it does, then we can get this all situated and see if this carburetor is going to work. I have no idea with any of it, so we're going to find out. So we'll put that in there. Should have opened up the choke. Now we can close the choke, and then we'll go ahead and just hit the starter. But I want to put the hot on the starter, and then we'll just use the ground. Alright, we'll give it one more time, and then if not, I'll pull the meter out and see if we've got spark. I can smell the starter fluid. Let's put the spark checker on real quick just to verify. May not have gotten enough starting fluid down in there, but we can just check real quick to see if we're even getting spark. Got no spark here. So let me see, let me think about this. Alright, so yeah, we've got this ground wire here. Normally this would be in your harness, but since they've bypassed all this stuff, I think we're still grounding somewhere. I really could care less about this connection, so I'm just going to cut it. If we take the connection out of there, we should basically unground. Yeah, so that's clipped now, so we should have no ground on the engine. And now we have spark. So let me open this choke back up. Close the choke. I want to make sure y'all can see this. We should be able to fire off this time. Yeah, buddy. Sounded like it had a nasty exhaust leak though over here on this side. We'll have to see. Alright, so you guys think we should just try to straight up gravity feed it and see if it'll work? Because we can't really even get to the show you guys on here. So these fuel solenoids, I don't think you can even get them off by just twisting it because the bracket's in the way, so I can't exactly just drop the bowl on it. We would have to take the whole carburetor off. I guess let's see if we can just get it to run on spray just for another second, and then we'll see what we can do. Didn't realize we were at full throttle on here too. I was wondering if it was trying to run away. Let me just check these linkages on here as well. I just want to make sure the governor's not stuck and it tries to run away or anything like that. Alright, one more time. Oh yeah, that definitely sounds like it's hitting on both cylinders and sounds pretty smooth besides whatever's going on. I think the muffler's blown out. I believe the muffler's blown out on the bottom. So let me see. I used to have a gravity feed tank. I don't know where it's at right now, but let me try to get set up, see if we can get that backfire solenoid hooked up and gravity feed this and see if we can get it to run on the carburetor. Right, I'll show you guys the setup I'm working with. I did find that tank. So I've got the jumper wire that's going into the harness, and then I've got the other piece here that's still connected to the positive. I just have it wedged in there. But what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to bump the starter to get that turning and then pull it off so the starter doesn't stay engaged, but I need this wire to still stay hot. So that's the plan on that. And then here's my little setup. This was my engine test stand. I had to go find it because I haven't used it in a while, but I don't have the fuel shutoff switch on it. There is one on here, but I don't feel like pulling all that loose at the moment. So we're gonna add a little bit of fuel in here. I did click the solenoid too, and I could hear it clicking. So we should be good there. Basically just gonna put just enough to fill just the bottom of that tank and see what we got here. So we should be gravity feeding at this point. Make sure you guys can see. But I'm gonna go ahead and try to bump this starter and see what we can do here. So when I grounded it, I could hear the anti-backfire solenoid open. Still got our choke on. We're low throttle, so here we go. Well, it definitely will run on the carburetor. I was playing around there with the choke. Maybe if we run it for a couple of minutes, it might try to pull some of that crud out of there. I'm assuming there's a good amount of crap at the bottom of that carburetor, but more than likely we'll have to pull this carb and get that cleaned. But it did actually run off from choke at higher throttle. It's just at idle it wouldn't. So we can try to show you guys how I had to start it over here on this side. But we should be gravity feeding. I'll get this up just a little bit higher just to make sure. I don't see any fuel leaks. We're not gonna run it too long with the upper shroud off, but that's awesome. Pull that choke back out. Just got the ground wire we clipped earlier. That'll just ground out the spark on it. Honestly, that thing sounds great. We'll definitely have to do a carb clean on this, but It did, just with the choke about halfway on here, just above idle. I mean, you guys could hear it was running perfectly. So that is awesome. So we should have a nice, good running V-twin here, and 22 horsepower. But that's awesome. All right, well, I think we're gonna wrap that up for today on at least getting this engine running. I think when we figure out what tractor this is gonna go on, we will do the carburetor clean on it. I'll show you guys that. We are gonna have to get the new blower plastic upper cover on here and check the charging system, things like that. But the engine does sound good, and I've got other projects that I'm working on, so I don't want to get too involved with this one at the moment, but I really wanted to bring you guys a video for this week. I'm waiting to finish up a commercial zero turn that we're going to have. We're going to have a hydrostatic Murray. We've got some other zero turns. We've got some older material, or older tractors, some newer stuff. So there's going to be a lot coming out. It has been a busy summer for me, and I've been struggling to keep up and make content for you guys. So I'm trying to get back in the swing of things, and we actually hit 10,000 subscribers this morning. So thank you guys so much. None of this would be possible without you all. I'm just a guy tinkering in the backyard on lawnmowers, and I'm thinking about going into full-time repair next summer. So we shall see. I'm waiting to finish up the shop, but you guys that have been following for a while, you know, I've been working out of this small shop. It's always cramped and it's hard to move around in here, but I have a 12 by 20 shop that I'm trying to finish up. It's not going to be flooding out like this one does all the time. We just got through the hurricane here, so yeah, I'm excited for things to come in the future, and always appreciate everyone checking out the channel. I love hearing from you guys in the comment section, and think about hitting that thumbs up. So on that note, let freedom ring, let those small engines sing. I'll see you all in the next one.